They say family means everything, until they turn on you. I'm Claire, and this isn't just about betrayal. It's about reclaiming your power when no one stands with you. Grab a drink, get comfortable, and please like and comment number 3 so I know you're still here. Let's begin. It was supposed to be a celebration. My little sister, Maris, had just bought her first house with her husband, and they were throwing a housewarming party. I showed up with a bottle of good wine and a gift card, genuinely happy for her, despite everything. She greeted me at the door with a big smile and a hug, and for a second, I thought maybe things were finally getting better between us. That hope didn't last long. An hour into the party, with about 30 people scattered around the house, family, friends, neighbors, Maris tapped her wine glass to get everyone's attention. I just want to say, thank you all for coming, she started, voice sugary sweet. Henry and I feel so blessed to have such wonderful people in our lives. Then she turned to me and said, Claire, come up here for a second. I should have known right then something was off. She launched into this speech about how hard things had been financially with 2 kids and a new mortgage, how they were doing their best, but it was still tough, and then she dropped the bomb. We've been talking as a family, she said, and we think it'd be really generous of Claire to let us use her vacation cabin, since she hardly goes up there anyway, and it would mean so much for our kids to make some memories. The way she said it, it sounded like I'd already agreed. I hadn't. In fact, I had never even heard this discussed before. I was still processing when my mom stepped in, smiling like she was handing out a blessing. Actually, we think you should just give it to them. That would be the family thing to do. I felt every eye in that room on me. It was like I'd been shoved onto a stage without warning. Then my dad added, It's not like you're using it right. Vacation homes are for families. You just go up there alone, with that dog of yours. That dog has a name, I said, trying to stay calm. And yes, I go up there to relax. It's mine. I worked for it. Maris scoffed. Don't be selfish. Think of the kids. You can rent a cabin like everyone else, I told her, my voice tight, and then my mom snapped. You don't even have kids. What do you need a family vacation home for? That's when my dad stepped forward and slapped me, hard, right across the face, and people clapped. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even text anyone that night. I went home, let my dog Finn curl up next to me, and sat in silence for a while. My cheek was still stinging, but what hurt more was knowing, without a doubt, my family didn't love me. Not unconditionally, maybe not at all. But instead of breaking down, I opened my laptop. See, what they forgot is that I'm not the family failure. I'm the one they call when things go wrong. The one who fixes things. I'm a financial advisor. I've spent my life cleaning up messes, mostly theirs. So, I started with the mortgage. Years ago, I co-signed on Maris and Henry's home loan because her credit was trash. Now, I was done being responsible for people who didn't respect me. I called the bank and told them I had concerns about being financially tied to a household where I was being emotionally and physically mistreated. They said they'd review the loan terms. Then I resigned my power of attorney over my parents' accounts. I'd been managing their finances for 5 years, ever since Mom's memory started to decline. But while I'd been handling things responsibly, Dad had been quietly funneling money to Maris. Thousands of dollars, money that was supposed to go toward Mom's care, just gone. Worse, he'd opened credit cards in her name, without her knowledge. That's not just unethical, that's illegal. So, I did the right thing. I documented everything. Every transfer, every account, every password I'd been given, and I called Adult Protective Services. They took it seriously, very seriously. Next, I contacted the IRS. You see, those loans to Maris, the ones Dad never asked to be paid back, that's considered taxable income if it exceeds a certain amount. And it did, by a lot. Then came Maris's job. She was a bookkeeper for a small business. I didn't lie. I just asked her employer if they were aware of her financial background, including court judgments and unreported debt. In her role, that kind of stuff mattered. I wasn't being petty. I wasn't being cruel. I wasn't even being dramatic. I was just done. Please like and comment number 3 so I know you're still here. They turned on me like I was nothing. So I treated them exactly the way they treated me, as a liability, and I let the system handle the rest. It started unraveling fast. Just days after my calls, Maris was in full panic mode. She called me screaming, "The bank is reviewing our mortgage. They said we may have to pay the full loan in 30 days. I told her calmly, "You should have thought about that before humiliating me in front of 30 people. Then Dad called. Adult Protective Services had frozen their joint accounts. He wanted to know what was going on. "You gave me power of attorney," I reminded him. "And now the state is asking why thousands of dollars left Mom's care fund and went straight to Maris." He tried to play the victim, said he was just helping family. But the government didn't see it that way. Then came the IRS. They started asking questions about all the gifts and loans that were never declared. Over $40,000 across 3 years. Maris and Dad had no paper trail to defend themselves. At the same time, CPS got involved. Maris had been dumb enough to post on social media about giving her kids sleep meds so she could have wine nights, and joked about leaving them home alone for quick errands. They didn't take the kids, but they did force mandatory parenting classes and regular welfare checks. Her job didn't last much longer either. Once her employer found out about her financial history and inconsistencies in the bookkeeping, she was gone, quietly fired, but definitely done in that industry. Henry, her husband, was next. His employer reviewed the situation after hearing about the party incident. With everything going on, violence, public records, CPS involvement, he was seen as a liability on job sites. They let him go too. And just like that, their picture-perfect life fell apart. My mom, now in full-time professional care, actually thanked me on one of her better days. "I'm glad someone finally protected me," she whispered. I didn't know how bad it had gotten. The relatives who clapped when I got slapped, they vanished. No calls, no texts, just silence. They thought I'd stay quiet, that I'd let it go, that I'd once again be the bigger person. But this time, I didn't clean up their mess. I exposed it. And for once, they had to deal with the fallout. Here's the thing about people like Maris. They depend on silence, on shame, on no one calling them out. So I told the whole story. I posted on social media, not some angry rant, but a detailed, fact-based explanation of what happened. The party, the slap, the humiliation, the financial abuse. I even shared a photo of the bruise on my face. And then, I shared her own words, screenshots of her social media posts, where she mocked people who help others, posts bragging about manipulating family for money, pictures of her on vacations, at fancy restaurants, buying designer bags, all while telling me she couldn't pay her water bill. It blew up, fast. Within 48 hours, dozens of people messaged me. Old friends, neighbors, even coworkers. Many had their own stories. Please like and comment number 3 so I know you're still here. Money lent, never returned. Sympathy played for gain. People started connecting the dots. One neighbor messaged, "She told me her kid needed surgery. I gave her $400. Turns out, he was never even sick." Maris had a long history of lying. I wasn't her only target, just her most useful one, until I stopped being useful. Then she came to my office, red-eyed, unhinged, furious. She started yelling in the lobby, accusing me of ruining her life. She pulled out her phone to record me, probably thinking she could provoke me into saying something incriminating. So I calmly pulled out my phone and started recording too. "Maris, are you denying you planned that party ambush?" I asked. "Are you denying you applauded when Dad hit me? That you used money meant for Mom's care?" She froze. Everything she said was caught on video, and my office building had security footage too. The footage went online. She tried to paint me as the bitter, childless villain, but no one bought it anymore. Why? Because when you show people the truth, you don't have to twist the narrative. They write it themselves.
A few months passed after everything crumbled. Life felt quieter, not just from the absence of chaos, but from the weight I'd finally stopped carrying. I wasn't cleaning up anyone else's mess. I wasn't apologizing for existing. I was just free. Then, one chilly Saturday, Maris pulled into my driveway. I watched from the porch as she stepped out of a battered Honda. Her hair was unkempt, her hoodie hung off her shoulders, and her face looked like she hadn't slept in days. This wasn't the sister who once smirked as our father slapped me. This was someone whose world had collapsed. I opened the door, just slightly. "Claire," she said quietly, "can we talk?" I stood there for a moment. Part of me wanted to slam the door. Another part of me, older, calmer, decided to listen. She didn't yell. She didn't blame. She just looked around the porch like it was the safest place she'd seen in months. "We're losing everything," she said. "Henry still can't find work. CPS won't leave us alone. We're behind on everything and I don't know what to do anymore." I stayed silent. I wanted to hear what she really meant. "You've always had your life together," she added. "I guess I never realized how much I relied on that." Then she started crying. Not dramatic sobbing, just quiet, exhausted tears, like she had nothing left in her tank. For the first time in years, Maris didn't look angry or smug. She looked small. Then she said it. "I'm sorry." But I didn't feel comfort. I didn't feel moved. I felt empty, because I knew that kind of apology. She wasn't sorry for what she did. She was sorry it didn't work out in her favor. So I asked her the only question that mattered. "Are you sorry for what you did to me, or just sorry you got caught?" She looked up, hesitated, didn't answer. And that was my answer. "You called me a disappointment. You laughed while I was humiliated. You cheered when Dad hit me. And now you want help?" I shook my head. "I helped you for years, Maris. I co-signed your loan. I paid toward your house. I bailed you out more times than I can count, but not anymore." She wiped her eyes. "But the kids—" "I know," I said, "and they deserve better. That's why CPS is involved. But you're not my responsibility." "What can I do to make this right?" she asked. "You can stop pretending this was a misunderstanding," I said softly. "You planned to break me in front of everyone. You wanted witnesses. You thought I'd give in." And she did. I stepped back toward the door. "Goodbye, Maris." She snapped. "I'll never forget this. You could have helped." I paused. "I already did. For years. You just didn't think it would ever stop." I shut the door. That night, I sat on the porch with a glass of wine. Finn curled at my feet. The sky was lavender and rust, fading into blue. The mountain air smelled of pine and cold earth. Peace didn't flood in. It crept in gently, like sunlight through a cracked curtain. And I realized something. That night at the party, the slap, the humiliation, it didn't ruin me. It saved me. They showed me who they were, and I finally believed them. People often ask if I regret going nuclear, if I regret pulling financial documents, contacting agencies, blowing it all up. No, I don't. I regret trusting people who didn't earn it. I regret thinking family meant safety. But standing up for myself? No. That part, I'd do again. Dad took a plea deal on the Elda financial abuse charges. He avoided jail but had to pay fines and is permanently barred from handling anyone's finances ever again. Mom stayed in care. We talk on her good days. She doesn't make excuses for Dad anymore. Sometimes she holds my hand and says, "I should have said something sooner." And I just tell her, it's okay now. Because it is. Maris and Henry moved to a rental 2 towns over. Word got around about the CPS visits, the firings, the unpaid debts. People distanced themselves, the way they always do when lies run out. She tried reaching out again later. Emails, voicemails, some begging, some angry. I didn't respond. Because closure isn't something they get to ask for after they try to destroy you. And forgiveness? That's a journey I walk at my own pace. Meanwhile, I started hiking again. I joined a local trail group, met new people, kind people, real people. That's where I met Luke. Gentle, funny, quiet confidence. He didn't ask me to shrink or explain. He just listened. He respected the boundaries I'd spent years building. Weekends became hours, long drives, lazy breakfasts, stargazing with Finn snoring between us. There were no expectations, just presence, just warmth. At work, I finally accepted a promotion I'd turned down twice before. I wasn't afraid anymore. I didn't need approval from people who saw me as an ATM instead of a daughter. I wasn't chasing love in places that only gave me debt. I built a life, not perfect, but honest. One where I could breathe again, sleep through the night, laugh at silly things, and cry without being called dramatic. And every now and then, when I sit on the porch and watch the trees sway, I remember that night. The sting on my cheek, the applause, the silence from everyone who said they loved me. But then I remember something even stronger. The power I reclaimed when I walked out. The truth is, they didn't destroy me. They exposed themselves, and I finally stopped shielding them. They chose cruelty over compassion, entitlement over respect, violence over conversation. And me? I chose to stop pretending it was okay. That was the beginning of everything good.